Pats Nation, welcome back into another New England Patriots post-game show. And no, you're not dreaming anymore, my friends. This is a Patriots playoff win post-game breakdown. In fact, I think this might be the first time we've ever done this on the channel, because the last time the Patriots won a postseason game was Super Bowl 53. And I know damn well I didn't do a post-game show after that because I was too busy celebrating. And so it feels good to be in this position as a Patriots fan. It feels great to have the monkey off your back. We got so much to get into today. I want to talk about the implications of this win. Where do the Patriots go next? What happens next week? And obviously my biggest takeaways from this game. Let us know your guys' thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button to join the Patriots Global family if you haven't already. And of course, also slam that like button because it helps support the channel tremendously. But look, we already know what happened. Patriots do survive the Los Angeles Chargers in the wild card round here, round one of the playoffs, by a score of 16-3. Not a great game overall from the offense. You know, more specifically in the first half. The second half, I think they were a lot better. That's when they started to turn it on. But this wasn't a game where the offense won us the football game. And I think as Patriots fans, you know, here in 2025, that's what we're used to seeing. We are used to seeing the Patriots offense and Drake May winning us games because every single week the Patriots are putting up no less than 20 points. But in this game, late into the fourth quarter, the Patriots hadn't even put up a single touchdown. And so defense was the big reason on why the Patriots won this game. And, you know, everybody's saying the Patriots are schedule merchants, and if the schedule doesn't mean anything, go out there and just win a damn playoff game. And that is exactly what the New England Patriots did. And for me, we've seen this Patriots offense play up against several top 10 defenses in the regular season. And so I wasn't necessarily as worried about the Patriots offense against this Chargers defense because I knew there would be opportunities, and I trusted Drake May to do something, and they at least did do something. But to me, I wanted to see what could this Patriots defense do against a good Chargers offense. You know, Vidal's not a bad running back. Justin Herbert is a very good quarterback. Obviously, that offensive line is terrible, but they got good wide receivers. They got Quentin Johnston. They got Ladd McConkey. They got Trey Harris, the rookie. They got a lot of different players. And so I wanted to see what this defense could do, and they played even better than what was expected. And so for me, I'm looking at this game, and I'm looking at 2025 as a whole. And the Patriots can win any type of way. I don't think enough people are talking about that. That is such a valuable thing to have because that's what Super Bowl teams are made of. And I'm not here telling you that the Patriots are going to go out there and win a Super Bowl now. I'm not telling you that they're going to be the Super Bowl favorites now. What I'm telling you is that a lot of these teams that make the postseason, especially the frauds, they're one-dimensional. One side of the ball can get it done, and that's it. And so when that side of the ball doesn't get it done, it doesn't show up to play its best football that day, the entire team gets let down. But this season, we have seen the Patriots win a game because of all three phases. A lot of times this season, we've seen the Patriots defense lacking a little bit. And so the offense had to come to life. Drake May had to string together game-winning drives. So we know the offense can do that. But could the defense win the Patriots a game when all they could do was put up 16 points? We saw that in a playoff game. So now we know that the Patriots defense can win them games if they need to. If the offense is lacking, if Drake May's having an off day, we now know that the defense can come up clutch and win them a game if need be. How many times this season have we even seen when special teams, when it all came down to it, was the reason that the Patriots won the game? In all three phases, we can rely that if one area of the football team is lacking, that another one can stand up, do its thing, and win this football team the game. And I think that's a really, really valuable thing to have that not enough people are talking about. The other thing I want to say, and I kind of touched upon this a little bit earlier, is just this idea that, man, everybody hated on the New England Patriots. And I think that's what's emotional about this game, at least for me. What's emotional about this game is Look, yes, it's the Patriots' first postseason win since Super Bowl 53. This is actually the Patriots' first playoff win without Tom Brady since 1997. And so I think having that monkey off your back as a Patriots fan, I think is such a breath of fresh air because all we've heard since Brady left was, oh, it was Brady and Belichick. Patriots aren't going to be anything. You guys are going to be in the dumpster for the next 10, 20 years at minimum. Yeah, Jets fans saying, get ready because we've been here and now it's your turn. And we finally got that monkey off our back. Oh, the only reason you had postseason success was because of Tom Brady. Well, no. Now we have postseason success because we're in a new era of Mike Vrabel and Drake May. So I feel like now after getting a playoff win without Brady, without Belichick, every monkey is off Patriots fans' backs of the Brady and Belichick era. I guess the only thing you could really tie back is, okay, you haven't won a Super Bowl without Brady or Belichick. I think that's the only thing you can allude to. But outside of that, with Brady, Belichick gone, year one of Mike Vrabel and Drake May, this New England Patriots organization has set new records and is clearly showing you that they're in a new era. And that gets me into my next point is, like I said earlier, it's just these haters, is that, you know, all year long as Patriots fans, we watch these games through and through. Even in the beginning of the year when there were losses to the Steelers and losses to the Raiders, we sat here and said, this team is building up to something. And throughout this season here in 2025, that is exactly what we saw. And when you had people saying that we were schedule merchants, it felt like you're not watching what this team is building. And everybody said, go out there and win a playoff game. And then the whole schedule argument won't matter. And so with that logic, the schedule argument shouldn't matter anymore. The Patriots won a playoff game. They're officially not merchants, right? Your schedule, having an easy schedule, I don't care how easy it's been over the last decade. You do not win 14 plus games. You do not win the AFC East. You don't compete for the AFC. You do not win a playoff game all because you had an easy schedule. That maybe helped the Patriots get to where they are right now, but that's not the reason the Patriots are where they are at right now. It's because of the culture. It's because of Vrabel. It's because of having a quarterback, right? You need a quarterback to succeed in this league, and that's what the Patriots have. So it felt so good to see the Patriots shut everybody up. All of these schedule merchants, man, especially these Rams fans because they're pressed against Drake May in the MVP conversation. Buffalo Bills fans who are pressed because the Patriots won the division this year and dethroned them early on in the season, right? To shut those guys up, to me, was the best part about this win. And I'll be honest, some of you might not like this. I don't care what happens the rest of the postseason. They got a playoff win. They've been playing above expectations ever since they got past 8 or 9 wins. You know, I get people asking me, Colby, do you think it's a bust if we don't go to the Super Bowl? And I'm like, do I think it's a bust if we don't go to the Super Bowl? What do you mean? We weren't even supposed to be here. We weren't supposed to win the division. We weren't supposed to be in a position to be in the playoffs, host a playoff game, let alone win a playoff game. And we're talking about, damn, we better get to the Super Bowl because if we don't, it's a bust. Like, no, if you're the Buffalo Bills, yes, if you don't get to the Super Bowl, it's a damn bust because you've been running the same organization for years in the playoffs and haven't gotten there. This is year one of a brand new system. I think some people get it confused that it's like, oh, well, Brady left in 2020 and that's when the clock started for a new Super Bowl. It's like, no, with each new regime, the clock restarted. So when you had Belichick, the clock restarted. Then you had Mayo, the clock restarted. Now you have Vrabel, and the clock has restarted yet again. And so, no, it's not a bust if we don't get to the AFC Championship game or don't go to the Super Bowl, man. Because the expectation, again, wasn't to win the division. It wasn't to go to the playoffs. It wasn't to be where we are. We've been playing with house money for months as Patriots fans. And as Patriots fans, you should be so damn excited. Because if they're doing this in year one, what can this look like down the road? What's this going to look like when the Patriots get a real edge rusher, a real wide receiver one? Because people are going to want to play here in New England now. And I think if you thought last offseason was fun, wait till you see this offseason. And I don't know if this makes sense or not, but I think this offseason could be more fun than last year, even if the Patriots make less splash moves. Because I think now we know that they had 1 or 2 big pieces, a real edge rusher, a real wide receiver, that this team is now trending towards something. And that those players could be a huge difference maker in this team of making a run in 2026. But all right, we are almost 10 minutes into the show and we haven't actually talked about this game. So let's get into it a little bit. I want to start off with the good and then we'll get into the bad. Okay. I want to start off on the high note. I guess we'll end off on not a low note because you won the game, but we'll go to a lower note. And that's starting here with the Patriots defense. Zach Kerr came out and, oh my gosh. It would surprise me if this guy is not being requested for some type of interviews for any of these vacancy jobs. Now, I'm not telling you he's going to be a head coach. I think that would be absolutely wild. But I do think, are there teams out there that maybe want to interview him for their defensive coordinator spot? Because I think that would make a lot of sense. And if you're the Patriots, what do? Is Terrell Williams coming back? Do you have to make a decision on Zach Kerr or Terrell Williams? Because I thought the defense looked really good this year. Now, had some holes, had some inconsistencies, especially early on in the year. But keep in mind, too, Zach Kerr unexpectedly had to take over as a defensive coordinator in only week 2. And so I thought he's developed really, really well down the stretch. You had Robert Spillane come out after the game and say there were Chargers players that were coming up to Robert Spillane after the game and telling him, we had no idea what you guys were doing all game long. And what he means by that, what those Chargers players meant was it wasn't just the Patriots players were dominating. It wasn't just the Patriots defense dominating the Chargers offense. It was the Patriots defense was showing one look pre-snap and then doing something different post-snap to where Justin Herbert, the offensive line, had absolutely no idea what was going on. The stunts that the Patriots were pulling off in this game, there was one point where Anthony Jennings is set up on the edge, and it was either Barmore or Milton Williams that set up in the interior of the Patriots defensive line. Once the ball is snapped, you have Anthony Jennings ending up rushing from the interior of the D-line, goes completely unblocked, and then it was Milton Williams or Christian Barmore that ends up taking the edge. And the Chargers just were not expecting it. Pre-snap, they didn't adjust to it. That's what allowed Anthony Jennings as the free rusher in the interior of the offensive line in order to get to Justin Herbert. And just the fact that Zach Kerr is able to do these things, he's able to fool Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh the way that they were, I thought is a true testament to him. And so I think he deserves a lot of credit. And you obviously pray for Terrell Williams. You know, that's our guy. All love for him. But I'm going to be honest, heading into 2026, I think I might want to roll with Zach Kerr as defensive coordinator. If I'm going to be completely honest, I think he's earned it. I think he's looked good. And I don't know if there's really much of anything I want to change about this defense other than running a little bit more man-to-man, which, by the way, we saw in this game. Like, we saw Christian Gonzalez, before getting injured, prayers up, we saw that Christian Gonzalez was playing primarily man-to-man coverage. And this is what I've been saying all year long is run more man-to-man. You have the ability to run man-to-man. That is where your guys thrive in the secondary. Run man-to-man. And that's exactly what they did. And the thing is that you usually run zone when you're going up against a team with a mobile quarterback and they have at least a semblance of a rushing attack. The Chargers had that, but the Patriots said, you know what? We're going to trust our guys against your guys. And it worked out for the Patriots. And even times where they were playing zone, you saw that they still had Gonzo shadowing one-on-one. And that's what I said. I said, even if you want to play zone coverage, find a way to get Gonzo still playing one-on-one against the team's number one guy. Allow him to shadow that guy all game long. Because what you have in Christian Gonzalez is so unique because you have a guy that can line up against any number one at any point on the field. He can line up outside. He can line up in the slot. He can line up at inline tight end. You can line up Gonzo anywhere, and he's going to shadow a guy and shut him down. We didn't see that all of the regular season. We wanted to see that, and they did it game one of the postseason when it mattered the most, and Gonzo was absolutely shut down before getting injured. It felt like prime Christian Gonzalez back from 2024 and early 2023 before getting injured. And so hopefully he's okay. But again, just all the credit going back to Zach Kerr. I mean, you look at Justin Herbert, and he finished this game going 19 of 31 for 159 passing yards and 57 rushing yards. No offensive touchdowns. The Chargers only put up 3 total points in this game, meaning that in 3 out of 4 quarters, the Patriots absolutely shut them out. And to me, I think what really gave this Patriots defense momentum was early on in the game, right? Drake May, they're on the 10-yard line. It was their second offensive series. He sees Austin Hooper right in front of him, tries to fit the ball over the defensive tackle. The defensive tackle makes a great play for the Chargers, bats it up. It's a tip drill for the Chargers defense. They get the ball, and they're down at the 10. They couldn't move the ball in 3 plays. And instead of electing to go for an easy field goal, get the first points of the game, the Chargers elected to go for it on 4th down. What happens? They target Christian Gonzalez in the end zone. It goes incomplete. It's a turnover on downs, and the interception that Drake May threw in their own territory ultimately ended up not mattering. I mean, you set the Chargers up perfectly in the red zone to score, and they walked away with 0 points. And you had Caleb Chason say earlier on this season that this Patriots defense is really built on momentum. Once they get that first big play, everything changes. And I think that was the play that really switched it up for the defense early on in this game that really set the tone and set the momentum for everybody. Now, the other thing that I'll say here is not only did the secondary do their job, but you also had, trying to figure out where these stats are. You also had the Patriots run defense do their job, because you had the run defense limit Kamani Vidal to 11 attempts, 31 yards, 2.8 yards per carry. Shutting down the run game was pivotal for the Patriots to run the type of defense that they wanted, because you had to put the pressure on Justin Herbert. And the only way you were going to do that was to make the Chargers offense one-dimensional. And the only way to make them one-dimensional was to take away the run, because they wanted to run the football. They knew that if they had to pass the ball to win this game and come back, that chances are the odds weren't going to be on their side because of just how bad that offensive line was. And when you limit the running back to 2.8 yards per carry, there was really no point where you felt like, all right, Vidal is taking over this game. Amari Hampton had 1 carry for -1 yards before they took him out and said, yeah, you're not healthy enough to play in this game. And so, again, for the defense to come in with a game plan and then perfect that game plan and then really just play this game on their own terms, again, just really comes back to the coaching of Zach Kerr and really just the rest of the coaches on that defensive side of the football for the Patriots. But, kind of getting back here to the pass rush, the Chargers were held to 207 total yards. Like I said, 0 offensive touchdowns. They were also, get this, 1 of 10 on 3rd down conversions. And so a lot of the times when they were being put in good field position, it was because the Patriots offense was immediately setting them up, right? The turnovers that the Patriots offense had was really what was giving the Chargers life at points in this game. But 1 of 10 on 3rd down, defense did its job, and the Chargers kind of sucked in this game also, but the defense did its job, and that's the route that I'm going to take on this one. 6 sacks on Justin Herbert was definitely, in my opinion, probably the highlight of the day, because, this Patriots pass rush unit has had a lot of inconsistencies, but we said, look, you're going up against the 32nd ranked offensive line. You got to be able to eat in this one, and that's exactly what they did. I thought, first quarter, second quarter, the pass rush wasn't great. There were moments, but it was very inconsistent. I thought when the pass rush really started to take over this game was in the second half, more specifically when the Patriots went up by multiple possessions and the Chargers were forced to start throwing the football to get back in the game. That's when the Patriots unleashed the dogs. They said, we're going to play man-to-man, our guys against your guys, and we're going to send hella blitzes. I mean, the Patriots blitzed over 40% of the time. They pressured Justin Herbert on over 50% of his dropbacks to get those 6 sacks. And I also thought that the defense just became very opportunistic, right? They got a couple of fumbles there on Justin Herbert, one of which was Caleb Chason that the Patriots were able to recover in the 4th quarter to really put this game away. The other one was a cornerback blitz by Marcus Jones, in which, unfortunately, the Patriots weren't able to recover. But I thought there was a lot of really unique blitzes, a lot of really unique stunts that, like we said earlier, were able to confuse the Chargers, between cornerback blitzes from Carlton Davis to Marcus Jones to safety blitzes from Craig Woodson and Jalen Hawkins to linebacker blitzes with Jack Gibbons and Robert Spillane, man. I thought they did a lot of really creative things to get pressure. And I think looking into the offseason, you kind of hope that you can revamp this defensive line a little bit. Not from the interior. You got Williams, you got Barmore, right? You spent a lot of money on those guys. but I think off the edge so that maybe you don't have to blitz as much. I feel like the Patriots have to blitz a lot more because their edge rushers aren't getting consistent pressure, and their defensive line by rushing 4 isn't knocking down the pile well enough to where it's like, okay, we got to send more blitzes in order to get this pressure and get into Herbert's face in 0.2 seconds. So if you want to be glass half empty and look at where do you improve, I think improving the trenches this offseason is really going to be big for this team. But I mean, even if you want to look at Milton Williams, 2 total sacks for him in this game, one of which was on 4th down. Chargers had to have it in order to still stay in this game. And that sack by Milton Williams on that 4th down is really what sealed this game and allowed the Patriots to come out with it when it was all said and done. So big shout out to Milton Williams. I mean, I think you saw that. Damn, when Milton Williams came back against the Dolphins, this defensive line just looked day and night. There was, let me see. So we had Marcus Jones with a sack. We had Calebon Chason with 2 sacks, Milton Williams with 2 sacks, Anthony Jennings with 1 sack. So everybody was eating today. I think that even if you want to look at a guy like Calebon Chason, one of my players of the game, you know, I really think that he has earned himself a bag. And is he going to get it with the Patriots? The Patriots have enough money if they want to bring him back. I think they should. But if not, this guy's going to get paid in the offseason. In a playoff game, he had 3 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble. This guy was a force to be reckoned with in this game. I'll be honest, I was very disappointed with what I saw from Harold Landry. Maybe he's still dealing with an injury, but like, damn, dog, you look the exact same against the 32nd ranked offensive line. You know, again, Patriots defense did its job. They got 30 pressures on Justin Herbert, which is absurd for one game. But my gosh, 32nd ranked offensive line, you haven't played football in over a month, and you still look the exact same. Again, I don't want to get on the guy too much because he's clearly dealing with an injury, but man, I think the Patriots are in a very interesting situation this offseason where it's like, if you can get out of that contract for Harold Landry, you probably want to, because he looked hot in the beginning of the season and got quieter and quieter and quieter after about the first month and a half of the season. And with him getting older now, dealing with this injury, how's he going to come back? You need someone who's going to be more consistent off the edge there when football matters the most, come December, come January, and hopefully even come February. And so was a little bit disappointed with what I saw from him. Robert Spillane coming back as the leader of that Patriots defense. He was fired up before the game. He was fired up during the game. He was fired up after the game. And I just think getting their leader back was huge. You know, he didn't necessarily make any massive plays, but I think just having their leader back is what made the big difference in this one. He finished with 6 solo tackles on the day, 2 of which were solo, and then also had a pass defense, one of which, that pass defense, was very close to being intercepted. And so, again, didn't do anything crazy, but I thought he applied pressure. I thought that he led this defense very, very well. And again, they looked day and night compared to what they looked like without him. So, you know, big ups to really every guy on this defense, but, you know, especially a guy like Robert Spillane coming back and helping holding this team down. But let's go ahead and let's get into the offensive side of the football and start talking about a few of those guys. Real quick, though, do want to get into you guys' super chats as always. You guys are being very, very generous. We got Isaiah with a $2 donation saying, remember Cam saying Drake May is fool's gold? LOL. For the first half, I'll be honest, for the first half, I was like, damn. Cam Newton's probably looking at this game like, I tried to tell y'all. And then the second half came out and he was like, maybe I should have pumped the brakes a little bit. We're going to get into that here in just a second, though. Big shout out to my boy Isaiah. We got Patriots 92 coming out with a $5 donation. Said Booty had some clutch plays yesterday. Yeah, he was May's go-to wideout. I 100% agree with you, right? Like with Matt Collins out of the mix, we said, Kayshon Booty, time to step up. And I thought Kayshon Booty, he's not a guy that you can force feed the ball to the way that you can with Matt Collins, right? Like you had Matt Collins who would be targeted 6-7 times a game and have like 5 or 6 receptions. Drake would really force feed him the ball and give him a lot of production. I think Booty's more a guy that's going to have a maximum of 3-4 catches a game, but can he make those 3 or 4 catches be big? And yesterday he did that. And I think what was most impressive to me about Kayshon Booty's performance was what he did after the catch. We know he can make plays in traffic, in tight windows. He can go up in those 50-50 situations and climb the ladder. But I think what we didn't know was what he could do after the catch. I didn't know that Kayshon Booty could force missed tackles. I didn't know Kayshon Booty was a yak guy. I don't think any of us knew that Kayshon Booty was a yak guy. But in this game, that's exactly what he did, shaking off multiple defenders on multiple of his catches, you know, working after the catch too, which really helped move the chains extra for the Patriots. I thought that he looked really, really good in this game. And honestly, it was one of his best performances of the season. I know he didn't have a long touchdown or anything like that, but I just thought from a pure production standpoint, what we saw him doing on the plays he was making was probably the most impressive I've seen all year long. But real quick, do want to let you guys know about our good friends over at Kalshi. Remember that supporting the sponsors that supports the channel is supporting the channel tremendously. Right now, we are looking at the Pro Football Champions. So we are looking at the odds for each team here that is currently left in the playoffs to win the upcoming Super Bowl. Now, 25% of people are currently taking the Seattle Seahawks to win it all. 20% of people are taking the Los Angeles Rams. When it comes to the AFC, the favorite right now is the Buffalo Bills. 14% of people are taking Buffalo. But coming here in at 4, you do have our New England Patriots with 14% of people also taking them. And then next up would be Denver with 10% of people taking them. If you think that the New England Patriots are going to win it all, you can make some serious cash right now over on Kalshi. Best part about Kalshi is that they're available in every single state, and you're not playing up against a robot. You're not playing up against a computer. You're not playing up against Kalshi themselves. You're playing up against real people with their own real thoughts and opinions on these same lines. And Kalshi's not a sports book. They're the best damn trades market on the platform. Right now, you can get in on this and so much more. You can even get in on Coach of the Year. Who's going to ultimately end up winning MVP? You can also get in on things such as politics, entertainment. They have lines such as, is it going to snow tomorrow where you live? These things you can only get in on with Kalshi, my friends. Remember that we could not be here giving you guys all of this content, this free content, if it wasn't for our sponsors. So click that link pinned in the live chat to go ahead and download their mobile app or check out their website. Let them know Patriots Global sent you because it helps support the channel a lot. All right, let's go ahead and let's get back here and let's talk a little bit about the Patriots offense because, look, obviously it wasn't their best performance, okay? We know that. 16 total points when it was all said and done, 1 touchdown, and the 1 touchdown came in the fourth quarter. The Patriots offense, their scoring breakdown went as followed. In the first quarter, 0 points. In the second quarter, they put up 2 field goals. Then in the third quarter, they put up 1 field goal. And then in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, they had that touchdown to Hunter Henry, which, again, only touchdown for the Patriots in this game. Only touchdown of this game, period, to give the Patriots that 16-3 overall lead. Big shout out to Andy Borgales, by the way. We're not going to talk a lot about special teams, but I thought special teams from the coverage, the Gunners, oh my gosh, Brendan Schooler have an absolute day. The tackles this guy was making on special teams felt like all-pro Brendan Schooler. But Andy Borgales, 3 field goals from 23, 35, and 39 yards to really win the Patriots this game. Like, I know we'll talk about Drake May, we'll talk about that late touchdown, but I mean, really, Andy Borgales being perfect in this game, which is really what allowed the Patriots, when it was all said and done, to win the game in the fashion that they did. But as for Drake May, he went 17 of 29 for 268 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 1 fumble. Technically, he had 2 fumbles, but one of those fumbles he did ultimately end up losing, along with 66 rushing yards on the ground, which did lead the Patriots in rushing yards for the day. So when it was all said and done, Drake May had over 300 all-purpose yards of offense in this one. And so while it was a struggle, it wasn't his best game, especially in the first half. I don't know what was said to him during halftime. I don't know if Michael May came in with some extra treats for Drake, or gave him a back rub and some milk. I don't know if you had Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel saying something to him, but this kid came out in the second half and looked like a day and night different quarterback. I mean, he had in the first half like a 30 overall quarterback rating, a little over 30. He ended up finishing the day with an overall rating of 86.6. But I think what's most impressive is what Drake May did in the second half, because as we all know, where football games are won is in the second half. It's not the first half, right? When it matters most, everything's on the line, especially in a playoff game like this. The second half is where you got to play your best football to win. Drake May in the second half versus the Chargers went 11 of 14 for 173 yards, a touchdown, and an overall rating of 142. So yes, he sucked the first half. I'm not telling you he didn't. But he came out there and played at an MVP-like level in the second half when it mattered the most. And so I thought that was kind of the Drake May experience. And I thought that he's 23. This is his first playoff game. I thought maybe trying to do a little bit too much. I thought he tried to put on the cape. He played a little bit too much superhero football. And that's when some of the turnovers started to happen. He had that interception, which, again, you got to fit that one over the defensive tackle. But also, that's just a really great play by the defensive tackle to time that up perfectly and get his hands on it. As for the fumbles, you got to hang on to it. He's got to be better at that, one of which was him just flinging the football around like we saw so many times in 2024. But also the offensive line, it has to be better. I mean, Drake May was constantly pressured in this game. He was sacked a total of 5 times. The entire left side of his offensive line was breaking down constantly in this game. You had Will Campbell give up a sack, but you also had Jared Wilson come in and give up multiple sacks in this game. He was absolutely horrendous. And so, when it comes to the fumbles, yes, it's on Drake. You got to hang on to the football, but also completely on the offensive line for getting him hit as much as he is. I think what we see from Drake May throughout his 2 years in the NFL so far is that when he's consistently pressured, that internal clock gets sped up. And when his internal clock gets sped up, he tries to do a little bit too much. He gets some anxiety in the pocket. He tries to put on the superhero cape and say, I'm not taking a loss. I got to do something to move the sticks for this team. And that's when the accidents ultimately end up happening. And so, look, like I said, it's a first playoff game. You're a little bit jittery. Learn from it. In the second half, he did learn from it. So what I'm going to be looking for next week, whether it's the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Houston Texans, is can you play a turnover-free football game? Or are you going to be one of those quarterbacks that just the moment's too big and you completely crap the bag in the postseason? The great thing about Drake May, though, is that he learns from his mistakes, right? He doesn't repeat errors very often. And so I think for him to have these mistakes and have these errors in the first half versus the Chargers, I'd rather him get those issues out now and then not have those issues moving forward throughout the rest of the postseason. And so as long as he does that, I think we can move on from these issues and say, you know what? That's the type of quarterback that Drake May is. He's going to have games where he's flawless, he's perfect, he's MVP. And then there's going to be moments where Drake May goes out there and he's trying to do a little bit too much and he's intercepting the ball, he's putting the ball on the ground. It's kind of like Josh Allen, right? I mean, that's who Drake May's been compared to for so long is, you have Josh Allen who he has games where he puts on the cape and he's MVP, but you also have games where Josh Allen loses you the game because he's putting the ball in harm's way a little bit too much. And so it was great that the Patriots were able to bounce back from those mistakes. Again, that really was in large part because of the defense. But again, you want to see Drake May improve at the end of the day moving forward. But what he did on the ground from a rushing standpoint, I thought was really impressive. Outside of the 2 fumbles, obviously, a 37-yard gain on the ground. You don't see a quarterback doing those types of things. I really thought this is going to be one of those games where Drake May goes for 100 yards on the ground. And it just shows why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL already. He's such a dual threat quarterback with what he can do through the air, but what he can also do on the ground. 2 of the biggest plays that he made, or I guess I should say 3, he had that 28-yard touchdown pass in the fourth quarter to Hunter Henry. But he also had that 42-yard pass to Kayshon Boutte that set up a field goal for Andy Borgales. And then he also had the check down to Ramondre Stevenson that went as a 48-yard play that got the Patriots down to the 50-yard line, got them in another position to score some points. And that play happened when the Patriots were on their own 10-yard line. And so with one play, they were able to get down into enemy territory. And goodbye, Drake May to take the check down, but also great job there by Ramondre Stevenson. And those were really the 2 big plays that the Patriots got, in this game. When it comes to the rushing attack, the Patriots didn't run the ball a whole lot. Outside of Drake May running the ball 10 times, between Ramondre Stevenson and TreVeyon Henderson, they only ran the ball 19 total times. Shout out to Ramondre Stevenson. Oh my God. I've been saying this for a couple weeks now, and I'll say it more and more and more. And we got a video dropping probably tomorrow about how Ramondre Stevenson is just really heating up for this team. Statistically speaking, since week 15, he's been one of the best running backs in the National Football League. But he comes out last week, week 18 against the Dolphins, 7 carries, 131 yards, AFC Offensive Player of the Week. He comes out here, 10 carries, 53 total yards. He was averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Because of what Ramondre Stevenson was doing on the ground, because he was so effective consistently on the ground, giving the Patriots 4 or 5 yards per carry, that really opened up the passing attack. And that's what allowed the Patriots to drive down the field. Now you look at 16 points and you're like, okay, well, with Drake May's production and Ramondre's production, how did we only get 16 points? And that was because the issue for this offense wasn't driving the football down the field. The issue for the offense came down to not turning the football over and capitalizing, because there were several points that they were in enemy territory, in a position to score 7 points, or at the least minimum, give Andy Borregales an opportunity to put up another 3 for you, but then they turned over the football and had to walk away with 0. And that's why the overall production looks good, but the score looks lower than it in reality should have. But we talked about this with the Chargers earlier. The Patriots' ability to run the football made them multidimensional. It opened up the passing game when it mattered the most. It opened up the play-action game. It made the Patriots less predictable. And it was because of Ramondre Stevenson, because TreVeyon Henderson really didn't give you anything in this game. Henderson went 9 carries, 27 total yards, 3 yards per carry, and his longest run was 15. And no hate to TreVeyon Henderson at all, because that's who TreVeyon Henderson is as a running back. You have to give him 15 plus carries a game, because his type of game is he might only give you a 3-yard rush and then a loss of 1 and then a gain of 4. But then he's going to go in and burst one off for 40, 50 yards, which is going to make his average look better. And in this game, he just didn't have that long run that made the overall average look as good as it was. There was one moment where he completely whiffed on a block, but he made up for that later. On that Hunter Henry touchdown, it was TreVeyon Henderson that provided a key block with a wide open rusher coming through the offensive line that went completely unblocked. TreVeyon Henderson picks it up, which gives Drake May that extra second or two to be able to get outside the pocket and hit Hunter Henry for the touchdown. So if it wasn't for Henderson, that touchdown ultimately doesn't happen. I will say too, just real quick, loved the play calling that I saw from Josh McDaniels, but I don't think that this offense has a player that can pull off the classic Josh McDaniels trick plays right now, right? We saw Efton Chisholm come in with one pass attempt. It was Drake May tosses it off to Ramondre Stevenson. You got Chisholm coming on the end around. Ramondre tosses it off to Chisholm, who looks to throw to a wide open Drake May, who I'm not saying it would have been a touchdown, but it might have been a touchdown if Drake May catches that. Nobody is even 5-10 yards close to Drake May, and Efton Chisholm just completely overthrows him. And so I don't know if this Patriots offense right now has that player that you trust in those situations to deliver an accurate pass, because it was Jacoby Myers, who was a former quarterback back in the day. Kendrick Bourne, who had a pretty good arm on him. Then you had Julian Edelman for the longest time. And right now the team doesn't have that. That might be a low-key addition that they look to make in the offseason, is that former quarterback that they can add to the offense, that they know when they got to hit that play, that guy comes on the field and he can hit Drake May in stride, because God, that was a terrible, terrible pass there by Efton Chisholm. But from a receiving standpoint, kind of picking up where we did with Ramondre Stevenson, not only was he a dog in the rushing attack, over 5 yards per carry, but he also led the Patriots in receiving yards in this game too. 4 targets, 3 receptions, 75 total yards. He averaged 25 yards per carry or per reception, and also his longest reception, like we alluded to earlier, went for 48 yards. Talked a little bit about Kayshon Boutte earlier too. He finishes with the day, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 66 total yards, that long reception of 42. Hunter Henry targeted 5 times, 3 receptions, 64 yards, 1 touchdown, averaging 21.3 yards per reception. I thought he was slow in the beginning of the game, had that one drop, but he picked it up. He picked it up more specifically in the second half, and when it mattered the most, the team needed him. Drake May needed him, went to his playmaker, and he certainly picked things up. Now, outside of the terrible pass, Efton Chisholm did get 1 target, 1 reception for 20 yards. I thought he worked really well through contact on the play. It was on a 3rd down too. And so the fact that on a 3rd down, it was like 3rd and 18, and Drake May trusted Efton Chisholm in that moment in a playoff game, I thought really spoke volumes to Efton Chisholm capitalizing on his opportunities, but also just the chemistry and the trust that's building behind the scenes between Efton Chisholm and Drake May. That play ultimately ended up going for a 1st down for the Patriots, where we all felt 3rd and 18, there's no way they get this. What happens? Drake May, Efton Chisholm, 1st down. Now, Stephon Diggs, 5 targets, 2 receptions, 16 yards. I felt like Diggs was very, very quiet in this one. Now, you're playing up against a great defense in the Chargers, and I think that's what also a lot of people don't recognize is the Chargers have a very, very good defense, top 5 in total defense. They're top 10 in run defense, top 10 in coverage. They're top 10 in red zone defense. Actually, they're top 5 in red zone defense. And then they were 11th in takeaways and 11th in sacks. And so, for them, their biggest thing was let's take away Stephon Diggs. They did very, very good at doing that. You're going to need Stephon Diggs to step up a little bit more in these playoff games from a production standpoint than what we saw today. But I think that Diggs still did have an impact on this team. And where the impact came was off the field. But before the game, in the huddle, it's getting the guys fired up. He's telling everybody, nobody likes us, but I like us. Getting these guys fired up, telling them, ain't nobody think that we should be here right now. Ain't nobody want us to be here right now. But let's rally around together, play for your brothers, as he would say, play as a team, and let's go out and let's disappoint the rest of the National Football League. Something that Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and Julian Edelman used to do all the damn time. And I think that's what Stefon Diggs did in this game that I think is just not going to go and just give Stefon Diggs the credit that he rightfully deserves. Even after the game, he was trying to get this reporter. He was like, I forget what the reporter said, but Stefon Diggs was like, do you think people believe in us? Do you think people like us? And she was like, well, I'm not here to answer questions. That's you. And he was like, I want to know your opinion. What do you think? And she just wouldn't answer. Stefon Diggs really trying to make it clear to everybody, we heard the noise. We hear people chirping about the schedule. We hear people saying that we don't belong to be here and that we are fraudulent. And we're using that as motivation. So honestly, thank you, Bills fans. Thank you, Rams fans, because all the bullshit y'all been talking all season long, you're actually fueling the Patriots to perform better. So little do you know, you're actually helping this team with all the crap that you're saying. Now, Travion Henderson, Jack Westover, Pop Douglas, those guys didn't really do much. Targeted a couple times, less than 10 yards on each of their receptions. Shout out to Jack Westover, though. That's the second reception of the season, and it went for a first down. Kyle Williams, I thought, had a really, he's only targeted one time, and the one reception went for 7 yards, but it went on a third down, and working up against the sidelines, I thought he had a really, really good catch. Austin Hooper targeted 2 times, 0 receptions, both of which, I'll be honest, they were on Drake May. The first one was in the first quarter that ended up being that interception. He had Austin Hooper wide open and just misses him. And then he had him late in the second half, wide open in the end zone and just overthrows him. So those were on Drake May. I actually thought Austin Hooper got open quite a few times and they just weren't able to capitalize on it. As for the offensive line, like I said, I don't really think there's too much more for me to add about this one other than God, Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, they certainly showed that they're rookies. And look, this defensive line for the Chargers is great. It's legit. Tui Tuipulotu, Khalil Mack. Who else do they have? They have Owe, who was killing the Patriots in this game. Like, they have dogs in the interior. They got dogs on the edge, and they got veterans more specifically. And they just went to work against the Patriots rookies. I thought the veterans held up well for the most part. Morgan Moses, Michael Onwenu, Garrett Bradbury wasn't terrible. I really thought that it was Jared Wilson who struggled the most and Will Campbell also struggling a little bit. And so definitely going to need to see those guys bounce back because I thought, again, the offensive line constantly breaking down is what limited the overall passing attack, but it's also what caused a lot of those turnovers from Drake May. If you play the Houston Texans next week, damn, you better find a way, Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, to figure it out. And I was screaming all game long, take out Jared Wilson. I got a lot of love for Jared Wilson. I think he's going to be good for this team, but I think he's going to be good as a center. I don't think he's going to be a guard here. And I put in Ben Brown is what I was saying all game long because this is a catastrophe right now. And they didn't. And the truth is that we're all going to scream for Ben Brown to be in. But Mike Vrabel said, Jared Wilson is our best player. He is our starter. He's playing. The truth of the matter is that they're not going to be taking him out. And so hopefully if you end up playing Houston next week, they just find a way to have a way better performance now that they have a little bit of playoff tape on film. But guys, look, that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. This is where we kick it off to you guys. What are your thoughts on the New England Patriots win 16-3 against the Chargers in the Wildcard Round? They now head to the Divisional Round where they will host the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Houston Texans. Guys, make sure you watch tonight. Make sure you watch these games tonight to figure out who the Patriots play and more specifically, what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What as Patriots fans should we expect when the Patriots play one of those two teams next week? Yeah, I'm giving you guys a little bit of homework here, but I promise it is going to go a long way when you watch this football team next week. But this is where we kick it off to you guys. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section below. Leave a like on the video on your way out. Make sure to check out Kalshi, pin in the comment section below. Also, make sure to follow our other social medias for more Patriots-related content and just my NFL thoughts. TikTok at Patriots Global. Instagram and Twitter at Patriots Global, all of that linked below. But until next time, I'll see you guys later on this week to start talking about the rest of these games. Go Pats.